Welcome to Real Recap. Today we're diving into Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, a wild mix of humor, horror, and awkward scout boys in the middle of a zombie outbreak. Ben, Carter, and Augie are stuck in a troop no one cares about until a zombie plague hits. With the help of Denise, a tough strip club waitress, they go from Boy Scouts to zombie slayers in no time. Can they survive the apocalypse before the army bombs the whole town? Stick around to find out. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps. The film opens with Ron, the janitor, jamming out to Black Widow as he mops the halls of a research facility. He enters a lab where Dr. Peter Morris is working, and Peter casually tells him, "I'm just going to grab a snack. Don't touch anything." As Peter steps out, Ron starts cleaning. His attention is drawn to a curtain in the corner. Behind it, a man is hooked up to a strange machine, his skin pale and veiny. Ron reaches out and grabs the man's wrist. The man twitches, causing Ron to stumble and knock the machine out of whack. As he tries to fix it, he attempts CPR. But when his hands press into the man's chest, he sees the man's gums are bleeding. In horror, Ron's hands sink through the man's stomach. The man suddenly jerks to life, throwing Ron across the room. Meanwhile, Peter struggles to get a snack from the vending machine, unaware of the chaos. Ron, now zombified, stumbles out of the lab and attacks Peter. A bag of chips falls to the floor, slowly spilling its contents. Three childhood friends, Ben, Augie, and Scout leader Rogers, are gathered at the Scout Hall on registration day. The room is empty, save for them. The video on the screen blares with an overly cheerful narrator, pitching badges and adventure. Only one boy sits in the front row, eyes glazed before he gets up and leaves, uninterested in the corny spiel. Ben and Augie exchange looks, a bit discouraged. Rogers, ever the optimist, claps his hands and grins. "Hey, don't worry about it. Tonight's special for Augie. He's getting his Condor badge. That's what really matters today." The boys nod, their spirits lifting a bit, though the empty room still lingers in the back of their minds. On the drive home, Carter tells Ben that it's time to quit being scouts. After sticking around for the last 2 years following the death of Augie's dad, Carter's more interested in hooking up with girls than staying loyal to his friend. Ben, however, thinks they should stick it out for Augie. Suddenly, Ben swerves to avoid a deer in the road, slamming into it and causing a flat tire. As they pull over to change it, Carter spots his sister, Kendall, arriving with her boyfriend Jeff and friend Chloe. Ben has a secret crush on Kendall, but she only sees him as a little brother, something Carter doesn't know. While Ben talks to Kendall, Carter strikes up a conversation with Jeff and Chloe, getting invited to a secret senior party that night. Ben, distracted, notices that the deer is no longer where it fell. He's unsettled but pushes it aside. Carter, excited about the party, suggests they attend Augie's badge ceremony and sneak out afterward while Augie's asleep. They drive to Carter's house, where they run into his grumpy elderly neighbor, Ms. Fielder. She scolds Carter, telling him to keep his garbage bins off her driveway before storming back inside. In the woods, Rogers walks alone, his boots crunching the dry leaves beneath him. As he moves, he spots something glinting on the ground. It's Peter's badge, discarded among the underbrush. Just as he bends down to pick it up, a rustling sound breaks the stillness. From the shadows, the deer emerges, its body twitching unnaturally, its eyes vacant and dead. It lurches toward Rogers, its mouth snapping open. With a swift motion, Rogers pulls out his lucky knife and stabs the deer straight through the eye. It lets out a sickening howl, but the victory is short-lived. Zombie Peter emerges from behind a tree, his body deformed and grotesque, his hands outstretched for Rogers. Before Rogers can react, Peter lunges and sinks his teeth into his throat, tearing it out in one brutal bite. Ben and Carter meet Augie in the woods, where he's already setting up his camping gear. The boys laugh and mess around, enjoying the day, the sun dipping lower as they goof off until evening falls. As the sky darkens, they light a fire, the flickering flames casting long shadows around them. They roast marshmallows and joke about nothing. Augie tries to start the fire with a flint, but after several failed attempts, he gives up and pulls out a lighter, the spark a small victory. Ben watches his best friend with a bittersweet smile, the warmth of the fire contrasting with a sudden, sharp sense of guilt. When Carter steps away to stretch his legs, Augie turns to Ben, his voice quiet. "I'm really glad we're doing this. It means a lot, you know." to just hang out, like old times. The words hit Ben harder than he expects. He feels a pang in his chest, a twinge of doubt about the party and the choice he's about to make. After Augie falls asleep by the fire, Carter nudges Ben, urging him to leave. They drive down the dark road, but just as they turn a corner, they slam on the brakes. Augie is standing there. He knows about the party, and though he's heartbroken and disappointed, he nods, telling them to go. "It's okay," Augie says quietly. "Go have fun. I'll be fine." Reluctantly, the boys drive off, heading to the liquor store for supplies. As they pull up, Ben notices the glass door is shattered. Carter spots something else. The bouncer from the strip joint is missing. Curiosity piqued, Carter drags Ben inside. Inside, Carter heads straight for the ATM, leaving Ben to sit at the bar near the stage. Moments later, a stripper emerges, beginning her dance. But as she climbs the pole, a gruesome sight stops everyone cold. Blood spurts from her neck, revealing her to be a zombie. Her movements are jerky, unnatural, and her open neck wound oozes blood. Ben and Carter bolt. They race for the door, but a terrifying sound echoes from the back room. The bouncer, now a zombie, charges at them. Ben dives into the bathroom, slamming the door behind him. Meanwhile, Carter hides behind the bar, trying to stay out of sight. The stripper, now fully zombified, hunts for him. She yanks Carter out from behind the bar, but in a desperate moment, Carter grabs a broken glass bottle and thrusts it into her skull. Blood gushes from the wound, drenching his face as the stripper collapses. Just then, Denise, the cocktail waitress, bursts into the room, shotgun in hand. She aims at the bouncer, now right in front of the bathroom door, and with a single shot, blows his head clean off. The three of them burst out of the bar, eyes widening as chaos unfolded around them. Zombies shuffled through the streets, groans echoing through the night. Without a word, they sprinted to Ben's car, but in the madness, the spare tire detached, tumbling off and rolling behind them. Denise, armed with a crowbar, jumped out to fight off the zombies, buying them time. Ben and Carter quickly replaced the tire, adrenaline surging. They piled back into the car and sped off, the sounds of the zombies fading into the night. Augie heads to Roger's house, hoping to find answers. The door creaks open, and he steps inside. The air is thick with an unsettling silence. The walls are cluttered with bizarre Dolly Parton memorabilia, a strange, ominous collection that only deepens the unease. Half repulsed, Augie heads to the bathroom. After a brief moment of stillness, he returns to the living room, only to freeze. Zombie Roger stands before him, face contorted, flesh decayed and oozing, eyes vacant. Augie reaches the basement, his breath heavy in his chest. He grabs a can of lighter fluid and a gas lighter, his hands shaking as he douses the area in fuel. With a flick of the lighter, flames roar to life, catching on the oily fumes. Zombie Roger stumbles toward him, but it's too late. Augie watches, his face hardening, as his scout leader is engulfed in flames. The fire consumes him, turning Rogers into a burning heap of charred flesh. Ben, Carter, and Denise rush to the sheriff's department, only to find a sign saying the town's been evacuated. The zombie horde is closing in, so they rush inside, only to discover the cops have been zombified. They lock themselves in a cell. Augie arrives, blasting "Crank Dat Soldier Boy" to distract the zombies. As they start to leave, Ben tries to grab the key from the wall using Carter's condoms as a chain, but Augie accidentally kicks the keys into a drain pipe. Undeterred, Augie picks the lock with his knife. A zombie stumbles in, but Ben impales it through the head. They escape. They come across the inebriated slob as a zombie as they stroll along the road. After noticing the zombie's Britney Spears blouse, Augie and Carter try to assert themselves using their scout's expertise, which leads them to sing "Baby One More Time" with the undead. The soldier then fires a bullet that goes through the man's skull. In order to rescue Kendall, he leads the four of them to the location that Carter was given for the celebration. Yet, despite its full of shit reputation, Jeff provided Carter with the address of a sewage plant. Now that Augie has experienced being messed over, he tells Carter. Then Carter comes clean and says that he and Ben had already intended to leave the scouts. Because of this, Augie irritates Carter by informing her that Ben has feelings for Kendall. The town is scheduled to be bombarded in less than 2 hours, which only makes matters worse, according to the radio. Back in the boys' neighborhood, they encounter Rogers, half burnt, and they run him over. They go into Carter's house to find the diary. They look through Kendall's room until they hear a noise from downstairs. Carter and Augie go to check it out. Denise then sees a picture of Kendall and understands why Ben has a crush on her. Noting his lack of confidence, she tells Ben to kiss her. He tries but accidentally headbutts Denise. She then does it for him. Zombies break into Carter's home, including Miss Fielder. She attacks Carter and tries to literally eat his ass until he and Augie force her against a window to break it and then chop her head off. More zombies attack. The gang fights them and run toward Kendall's room to jump on the trampoline and over the fence. Carter, Denise, and Augie go ahead with Ben going last. As the zombies break into the room, Kendall's diary falls out of the underwear drawer. Ben grabs it and goes to jump, but there are too many zombies on the trampoline and too many in the room. Ben prepares to jump, but nearly slips until he grabs hold of something. The gang flees into Ms. Fielder's home where they face her undead cats. After fleeing them, they head into the garage and take her car before getting out of there. The boys learn that the celebration is at a recreation center. Denise discovers a motorcycle and travels to get help. Ben gives his friends a stirring speech about how they're going to kick zombie ass and save their friends. They stop at a hardware store and grab various things before heading to the celebration. At the party, Chloe and her boyfriend Travis go into a room so Travis can have sex with Chloe. She refuses but lets him to eat her out. A zombie with missing lower jaw enters and kills Travis. He eats Chloe out for a moment before turning her into a zombie. Kendall is worried about her brother until Jeff admits he gave Carter the wrong address. Pissed, Kendall leaves. Jeff attempts to hold her back, but she hits him. He pushes Kendall as undead Chloe enters and strikes Jeff. Kendall hurries away only to realize that more zombies are coming. When it looks like she's done for, the scouts arrive to lay waste. Ben mows the zombies down with a weed whacker, Carter has a nail gun, and Augie has a pistol that shoots heavy balls. Carter nails Chloe in the head as Ben decapitates Jeff. The lads guide the surviving to the stairs while Ben rescues Kendall. He stays behind to secure the doors while his friends hurry toward a room. Augie lays a bomb that he created on the floor and tries to light it. Ben makes another speech on how he and Carter were jerks for trying to ditch Augie, that he and Carter only wanted to leave the scouts because they were afraid everyone would see them as dorks and socially backward, and that he really loves being a scout because that's how he became friends with them. Augie goes to light the bomb, but the lighter is out of fluid, and Augie has to again fight to use his flint. Denise shows up and helps the lads out through a slide. At the last minute, Augie fires the bomb with his flint and gets out before it goes off and blows out the undead. The last one is Rogers on the outside, but he's blown up by a grenade. The military eventually arrives to save the day. The morning comes, and Denise encourages Ben to go after Kendall. Without a second thought, he walks up to her and kisses her passionately. Augie thinks it's nice, but Carter's upset. Kendall smiles, impressed, asking Ben, "Who are you?" Ben answers, "I'm a scout." During the closing credits, we show the gang's selfies, including Ben taking Kendall to prom and Denise hanging out with the boys. After this, we see outside the leisure facility where Roger's head is still alive. A bird poops on him and he goes, "Come on," before turning to the audience and says, "The end."